I was sitting at my desk when the notification came through. 3 years of uploading on one of my 8 channels. 3 years. And instead of feeling proud, instead of feeling that rush of accomplishment, I just sat there quietly with one question circling in my head. Was it all worth it? Not in a dramatic way. Not in a way that made me want to quit or spiral into frustration. It was quieter than that, more honest than that. And I think that honesty is exactly why I needed to make this video. Because what followed that question was not a rant. It was not a breakdown. It was something closer to a real reckoning with everything I have actually experienced building across multiple channels over multiple years. This is not a pity story. This is not an attack on anything. This is just one creator sitting down and telling you the truth. Before going any further, let me be clear about what this video is and what it is not. This is not an attack on YouTube. It is not a warning to stay away from creating. And it is definitely not a breakdown moment dressed up as content. I have seen enough of those to know that is not what this is. What this is honest. Built from real time, real effort, and real outcomes across multiple channels over multiple years. By the end of this video, I'm going to share the single biggest lesson I have taken away from thousands of hours of creating. Not a strategy, not a growth hack, a lesson. The kind that, if someone had handed it to me early on, could have saved years of confusion, burnout, and chasing things that ultimately did not matter as much as I believe they did. So stay with me. Here is something almost nobody talks about openly. The moment you start a YouTube channel, you stop watching content like a regular viewer. It happens quietly, almost without you noticing. Suddenly, every video you watch becomes an analysis session. You are studying the hook, the pacing, the thumbnail choice, the structure. Every channel becomes a benchmark you are silently measuring yourself against. Every creator becomes a competitor, even ones in completely different spaces. What feels productive at first, like you are doing research, reverse engineering growth, learning from what works, is actually something far more subtle happening underneath. You are no longer consuming content for enjoyment or curiosity. You are consuming it through a lens of comparison and strategy. And once that shift happens, it does not reverse easily. The platform you once used to relax or get inspired slowly transforms into something that constantly reminds you of where you are not yet. That is where the real problem begins. And here is where things get quietly dangerous. Once your brain shifts into strategy mode, YouTube notices. The algorithm is not neutral. It reads your behavior and starts feeding you exactly what your new mindset craves. Suddenly, your homepage is flooded with breakout stories, channel growth case studies, and creators celebrating massive milestones. It looks like everyone is winning, everyone is growing, everyone is figuring it out except you. But that is not reality. That is a curated highlight reel. The platform never surfaces the creator who uploaded for 2 years and got nothing. It never shows the channels that quietly disappeared. It only reflects the wins back at you over and over until those wins start feeling like the norm. And once that distortion takes hold, something subtle but serious begins. You start measuring your own progress against a version of the platform that does not actually exist. That feeling is not motivation. It is a trap. That distorted perception does not stay in your head. It starts bleeding into every creative decision you make. You second-guess uploads before they go live. Topics that once excited you suddenly feel overdone. Titles you spent an hour crafting feel weak the moment you read them back. Ideas that used to feel original now feel like something someone else already did better. Slowly, without realizing it, you stop creating from a place of genuine curiosity and start creating from a place of reaction. You are no longer building something with direction. You are responding to noise, and that noise never quiets down. It actually gets louder every single year because YouTube itself keeps shifting. What it pushes changes, what it tests changes, what it rewards changes. The platform is in a constant state of reinvention, which means any formula you finally feel confident about has an expiration date you never get to see in advance. Every creator eventually becomes quietly obsessed with one idea, the breakout video. That single upload that changes everything. The one that represents freedom, validation, and the feeling that all the effort finally made sense. And I have watched this happen multiple times across my own channels. Videos I barely spent time on suddenly exploded. Meanwhile, perfectly optimized uploads with strong thumbnails, researched titles, and carefully structured hooks just disappeared into silence. The strange part is that in real time, you genuinely cannot tell which video it will be. You upload, you wait, and you watch the numbers either move or stay completely flat. Only after the fact does everyone become an expert. The hook was perfect. The timing was right. The thumbnail stood out. The idea hit a nerve. Suddenly the explanation sounds obvious, almost inevitable. But nobody predicted it beforehand. Nobody ever does. And that silence before the breakout is something most creators never talk about honestly. Here is what actually happens after a video breaks out. The explanations arrive almost immediately. The hook was perfect, the thumbnail was irresistible, the pacing was tight, the timing was right, the idea was fresh, and sometimes those explanations are genuinely accurate. But here is what never gets discussed. The dozens, sometimes hundreds of videos that followed that exact same logic, used the same hook structure, the same thumbnail style, the same pacing, the same timing, and produced absolutely nothing. Failure does not get broken down the way success does. Nobody sits down to analyze why the optimized video quietly disappeared. That silence is not accidental. It creates one of the most powerful illusions on the entire platform. It makes success look explainable. It makes success look repeatable. It makes success look predictable. When in reality, most breakout moments are outliers being dressed up as formulas after the fact. So what happens when creators absorb this illusion long enough? They start doing something completely understandable, but ultimately exhausting. They try to reverse engineer randomness. They take the one exception and build an entire system around it. Every upload becomes loaded with a single silent question. Is this finally the one? And YouTube never really answers that. It just keeps moving, keeps testing, keeps shifting, and leaves you waiting. Meanwhile, the environment around all of this has changed dramatically. Short-form feeds now compete for the same attention. Artificial intelligence is producing content at a scale no individual creator can match, and audiences today can redirect their attention within literal seconds without a second thought. Here is what that means practically. The challenge is no longer making a good video. Good is everywhere now, genuinely everywhere. The real challenge is holding attention inside an environment that is actively, deliberately, and algorithmically designed to pull it somewhere else entirely. This mounting pressure has a very real cost, and that cost is burnout. But burnout rarely announces itself loudly. It does not arrive from one catastrophic failure or one terrible upload. It builds slowly, quietly, through accumulation. More uploads expected each week, more formats needed to stay relevant, more platforms demanding your presence, more uncertainty about what actually works anymore. And through all of it, the same recycled advice keeps circulating everywhere you look. Just stay consistent, post more, show up every day. But here is what nobody wants to say out loud. Consistency without direction does not create progress. It creates repetition. And repetition without intention is just noise wearing a schedule. Look around right now. Thousands of creators are consistent. Hundreds of thousands are uploading daily without missing a beat. Consistency has become the baseline, the floor, not the ceiling. Doing it alone no longer separates anyone or signals anything meaningful to an audience that has unlimited options competing for every second of their attention. After uploading videos I genuinely believed in, videos that checked every box that seemed to matter, some performed, and most did not. And for a long time I kept treating each one as a separate case, a separate problem to diagnose and fix. But something shifted over time. I stopped judging individual videos and started noticing patterns in myself. What topics do I keep returning to even when they underperform? What formats do I keep avoiding even when they might actually help? What strategies do I keep hoping will eventually click without ever truly adjusting my approach? That last one is the uncomfortable one, because there is a version of effort that looks productive from the outside but feels hollow from the inside. You are uploading, you are showing up, you are staying consistent, but nothing is actually changing. That is where creators quietly get stuck. Not in failure, in stagnation that is perfectly disguised as effort. And then there is the advice cycle. Every few weeks, a new strategy surfaces, a new system, a new secret that promises to finally explain everything. I will be honest, I believed in this cycle more times than I want to count. When you are stuck, even false clarity feels valuable. It gives you something to hold on to. But the longer you stay in it, the more uncomfortable the truth becomes. Most advice is not wrong. It is just temporary. The system changes faster than the explanations of it. What worked last year fades. What failed before returns. What works right now will not necessarily work 6 months from now. That is not pessimism. That is just the reality of operating inside a platform that is constantly running its own experiments. So the real skill stops being about finding the right strategy. It becomes adaptation speed, iteration, and the ability to let go of what is no longer serving you, quickly and without guilt. And then there is the ecosystem problem. YouTube today is not simply about uploading a long-form video and waiting. It is about shorts, community posts, live streams, repurposed clips pushed across Instagram, TikTok, X, and wherever else attention briefly lives. The expectation is not just to create. It is to exist everywhere simultaneously and stay relevant in every space at once. This is where burnout stops being one thing and becomes everything stacking together. You are not exhausted from a single demand. You are exhausted from 20 smaller ones arriving without pause and without acknowledgement. And the cruelest part is there is no finish line, no moment where you finally arrive and the pressure lifts. Just when something starts gaining traction, the environment shifts. A new format emerges, an algorithm adjusts, audience behavior changes, and the entire adjustment cycle quietly restarts from the beginning. You never actually catch up. You just keep running towards something that keeps moving. After multiple channels and years of uploading, here is the one lesson that genuinely changed everything for me. Do not build your entire future on one platform. Platforms are unstable by design. YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, all of them evolve, shift their incentives, and change their priorities without waiting for anyone to catch up. What works today gets quietly buried tomorrow. The rules you mastered last year become irrelevant next year, and no amount of consistency or optimization protects you from that reality. But an audience is different. An audience is portable. It follows trust and genuine connection, not algorithms and distribution systems. When people actually believe in you, they will find you wherever you go. That realization completely changed my goal. I stopped chasing views and started focusing on building something that would still exist when the rules inevitably changed again. Because they always change. The only question is whether you are building something that survives it. So if you are just starting out, or still somewhere in the middle of this, hear me clearly. Keep going. Keep creating. Keep experimenting. Keep learning. But do not make the mistake of thinking effort alone creates direction. Effort without adaptation creates motion, not progress. There is a real difference between the two, and most creators never stop long enough to notice which one they are actually doing. The creators who last the longest are rarely the most talented. They are not the ones with the best equipment or the most subscribers. They are the ones who keep adjusting when everything around them stops making sense. And on a personal note, after 3 years, 8 channels, thousands of hours, and everything shared in this video, I'm done with YouTube, unless you can persuade me otherwise.